Hello everyone, welcome to Money Nook. With Diwali just being around the corner, I'm sure all of you would be thinking about crackers, meeting friends, family, having lots of food, right? Along with all of these, I'm sure you would also be thinking about gold. Why? Because obviously most of us buy gold during Dhanteras, and if we don't buy gold as well, we wear the existing jewelry that we already have during Diwali celebrations, right? So in this video, let's have a look at how gold fares as an investment option. Let's compare between different investment options that we have in gold and see which among them is best. We can buy gold in 6 different forms. The first and obvious one is jewelry. Then you can buy gold as gold coins, gold bars, or you can even buy gold digitally nowadays. You can buy gold ETFs, gold mutual funds, and lastly sovereign gold bond. So in this video, we'll have a look at all these 6 options, how they are different from each other, and what are the returns that each of these options give. Before getting into the details and comparing the different investment options, first let's take a step back and understand why we think gold is a good investment option or why we are obsessed with gold as a society in India. If we take a step back, historically, gold is a currency. You buy things by exchanging gold. After that, gradually coins and notes came into existence. But they are also backed by gold. The governments used to have gold and then they used to print money. And moreover, gold is a scarce resource. Hence, we associate gold with safety and security because that has been the standard from a long time ago, right? Nowadays, governments don't need to have gold in order to print money. In fact, most of the governments around the world have stopped that practice and they print money irrespective of the gold reserves they have. So, money is unlimited whereas gold is still scarce. This is another reason why the feeling of security associated with gold has been reinforced further. Apart from this, India as a country, our culture symbolizes gold for wealth and prosperity, right? So as a culture, we prefer to have gold. Until recent past, the access to financial services, banking or otherwise, were not that great. So gold is one form of investment which was accessible to everyone. That is another reason why most of us have preferred to invest with gold and the obsession with gold. Now that we understand why we feel a sense of security and why we are obsessed to invest in gold, let's see how it performs as an investment choice. If we look at gold for the last 20 years, it has generated average return of 12.7%, which is very good. Now, on top, the main function of gold is as a hedge. Why? Because gold hedges you against inflation and it also hedges you against market fluctuations. If you look at the graph that I am showing right now on the screen, you can see that whenever the stock market has increased, the gold prices have decreased, and when stock market falls, the gold prices have increased. They have an inverse relationship. So if you have, let's say, anywhere between 5 to 10% of gold in your portfolio, it hedges your overall portfolio against market risks and inflation. In case of any necessity and if the market is down, you can sell off your gold and you will have liquid cash in place. That is why gold is a good investment choice overall, and you can choose to have anywhere between 5 to 10% based on your age and your risk profile and preferences. Now let's have a look at the 6 different options and discuss each one of them. First one is buying gold jewelry. Buying gold in the form of jewelry is not an investment. Why do I say this? Because when you buy jewelry, there are a lot of other costs associated with it, such as making charges, wastage, GST, etc. All of these put together will cost you anywhere between a minimum of 15% to almost 35% of the underlying gold cost. So this is too much of excess. 15% to 35% is very high cost. That is why when you buy gold in the form of jewelry, you consider it as an expense. Simply, if you buy car, you will have some expense. If you buy clothes, you will have an expense, right? Similarly, if you buy 100 rupees of gold jewelry, consider that 20 to 30 rupees is an expense and 70 rupees is what you will get back. That is the maximum amount you typically get back. So you can consider it a part of it 20 to 30% as an expense and 70 to 80% as something which you will get back. If you are okay with this cost as an expense, then go ahead and buy jewelry and enjoy it. But remember, that is an expense. Now let's move on to the second option, gold coins or gold bars. This is again straightforward. You buy gold in the form of gold coins or gold bars. There are multiple jewelers like Tanishq who sell gold coins. You can buy it from them. Similarly, multiple banks also sell gold coins in various denominations starting from 1 gram to 5 gram, 8 gram, 10 gram, 20 gram, so on and so forth. So you can buy these gold coins from either the jewelry shops or also banks. Now let's move on to the third option, which is digital gold. Of late, many players like Paytm or Grow, Kuvera, Zerodha, Upstock, all of these players do offer digital gold for you. You can buy digital gold from them. So what happens when you buy digital gold? Let's say you want to buy rupees 1000 worth digital gold. Then for 1000 rupees, let's say if you get, let's say 1/4 gram or 1 gram, whatever of gold you get, that is blocked against you and it is stored somewhere else on your name, and you will get a digital certificate for that. That is how you hold digital gold. The main pro for this is you can invest as low as 1 rupee, whatever you have, and buy digital gold. So for most of the other forms, the minimum investment is at 1 gram, whereas in digital gold, as low as rupees 1, you can buy gold. Now let's move on to the fourth option, which is gold ETF. ETF means an exchange traded fund. So simply put, this is traded on stock market. 1 unit of ETF equals to 1 gram of gold. So when you buy 1 unit of gold ETF, they will again reserve 1 gram of gold on your name in their safes. So, and it gets traded on stock market. The advantage of a gold ETF is the liquidity. You can buy and sell the ETF at any point in time. Digital gold also you can buy and sell at any point. ETF is similar, it's just that it's traded on stock market. Moving on to the fifth option, it's gold mutual funds. It is similar to all other mutual funds, except that these gold mutual funds invest in gold ETFs, and sometimes they also invest in gold mining companies or companies associated with gold, right? That's the major difference between gold ETF and mutual fund. The other difference is ETFs are traded on stock exchange. Mutual funds cannot be traded on stock exchange. You can do an SIP in mutual funds, but you can't do an SIP in ETF. Automated SIP does not exist. You need to manually buy. So these are the major differences. The expense for gold mutual fund is much higher, at least 1% higher than gold ETF. 1% is a lot in the long term, right? So these are the 5 types. The sixth and the most important one is sovereign gold bond. This is issued by the RBI, Reserve Bank of India. It is an 8-year bond which you can sell after 5 years. So why is it special? Because you don't have any making charges, any GST when you buy it, and you don't need to pay capital gains tax on gold when you sell it. In all the other 5 options, you need to pay capital gains tax, which is 20% in the long term, and in the short term your personal tax slab. Whereas in case of sovereign gold bond, you don't need to pay capital gains if you sell it after 5 years. And third point is, on top of these benefits, it gives you an interest of 2.5% every year. Obviously 2.5% is a very low percentage of interest, but all other options don't give even that. So we are better off in sovereign gold bond. And we also have to remember the main purpose of us investing in gold is not to get interest or generate money. The main purpose is to hedge ourselves against inflation and market. So that purpose is satisfied in sovereign gold bond as well. Now let's compare the returns between all these 6 different options for 1 year of investment, 2 years, so on and so forth. And let's see why do they vary so vastly. Before going into the table, like I upload a video every week on my Money Nook YouTube channel, I also post different things on my Telegram, Instagram and LinkedIn channel every day on different topics. So if you are interested to learn more about personal finance, then please subscribe to either of these channels. I have put the links in the description. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the table. As you can see on the screen, we are comparing returns between 6 different forms of gold investment: jewelry, gold coins, digital gold, ETF, mutual funds and SGB across different time frames. If you invest for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, so on till 8 years. And as you can see from the results, the return on investment from sovereign gold bond SGB is the highest across all the years. This is again during a time period when gold grew at 12.77%. What do I mean by gold growing at 12.7%? Pure gold rate, which we see daily in the newspapers or here on TV, that grew by 12.77% on an average during these last 20 years. So I have taken that as a reference, and using that, this is the returns that are generated. We'll see in the next slide why the returns are lower in the first 5 forms versus sovereign gold bond, and we'll also see a detailed working in the Excel. But for now, as you can see, SGB is the first. It gives the highest returns, followed by ETF. Then digital gold and mutual funds are almost together in the 3rd place. Gold coins is the 4th and jewelry is the last, 5th place, right? So now let's have a look at the next screen to understand why the returns are different. As you can see, for different forms of investment, there are different additional costs that are associated, right? Let's say we are investing 10,000 rupees in each of the 6 forms. On top of this 10,000 rupees, while you purchase, you will have additional cost in the form of making cost and GST for jewelry and gold coins, and you will have GST for digital gold. This is not implied, or this does not apply for ETF, mutual funds and SGB. Obviously then when you purchase jewelry, coins and digital gold, your investment will be higher versus the all other 3 forms. Then once you purchase, you will again have holding costs for storage, insurance, or in case of ETF and mutual funds, they will have typical expenses by the fund houses, etc., to manage their operations, right? So these are again additional costs that you will incur every year. Obviously, as you are incurring these additional costs, the profit that you get will start decreasing. If you get 100 rupees profit and 2% you need to pay to ETF or mutual fund, you will only get 98 rupees now. So your profit decreases a bit, and it happens every year again. Now, and then you will also have exit cost. Let's say you want to sell your jewelry, then again you'll have some exit cost, purity, this, that, etc. Right? In this way, you will have these 3 type of costs which will reduce your profit, overall profit. After all of this, again you will have tax. Obviously, you will not invest for 1 day, 2 day, right? You will invest for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, so on and so forth. So at the end, when you sell, you will also need to pay tax on the profit. So this tax is calculated in 2 ways based on the time period. If you invest for less than 3 years in gold, it is considered short-term investment and you will have short-term capital gains. If you invest more than 3 years, it's long-term capital gains. For the first 5 forms of investment, as you can see, in case of short-term capital gains, it is your personal tax slab. Let's say you buy for 40,000 today and you sell after 2.5 years for 60,000. 20,000 is the profit on which you need to pay tax as per your personal tax slab. Whereas in case of long term, what happens? Indexation is also taken into consideration and you will pay tax for profit post indexation. How indexation is calculated, there is a separate video I have uploaded in the past. You can refer to that video. This is how these 5 schemes are treated. Whereas SGB, sovereign gold bond, as you can see on the screen, you have 0 additional costs at any phase. There are no additional costs, and even for tax, the tax, as we have discussed earlier, is 0% if you sell it after 5 years. If you sell it before 5 years, then it again has similar treatment to all other 5 investment options. But the advantage even then is it does not have any additional cost. On top of all of this, sovereign gold bond also generates 2.5% interest, which is not there in anything else. So that is why the returns of SGB are much higher than any other form of investment. So how to buy the sovereign gold bond? RBI issues SGB in multiple tranches. So it usually issues 5 or 6 times a year. You can buy it when it issues. You can buy it from your banks, or you can also buy it from your demat account. In fact, one SGB tranche was released just the last week. Again, next month there is another issue that is going to open. So you can buy it then. What would be the cost? RBI follows a simple policy. The cost of SGB is equals to the average gold price the last 3 days. So if SGB is issued today, matlab open today, then the price of gold in the open market the last 3 days, the average price is taken as the issue price for this SGB. And on top, since you are buying it online, RBI also gives you a discount of 50 rupees. So that is again an added benefit. When you sell it after 8 years, you need to sell it. At that point also, again it takes simple average of the past 3 days gold price in the open market and pays you. But you can also sell it anytime after the 5th year with the tax benefits. Before 5th year also you can sell it, but then you will not get tax benefits. We just saw why SGB is the best investment option and how to buy it. The only downside of SGB is it is not liquid. Means if you want to sell before 5 years, it might get difficult sometimes. Though it is traded on stock market, the number of buyers is limited. So you might not always get someone to buy your SGB. So liquidity is the only issue, but other than that, this is the best investment option. And if you want to invest in gold for a long term, then just go for it. Now let's quickly have a look at the Excel. As you can see in the Excel, I have captured the additional charges during purchase, holding and exit cost that we talked about, and the interest is present only for SGB, so I have captured it here, and post-tax interest is also present. You can also refer to the comments that I have put. For example, making charges on an average vary between 12% to 30%. So I have taken an average of 21%. Similarly, I have put comments for each of the values I have taken. You can refer to that. Now, moving on to tax, short term and long term. Short term is like personal tax slab for everything. Long term is 20% plus 4% cess post indexation, and it is 0% for SGB as we talked if it is more than 5 years, right? So personal tax slab for a moment, let's assume it 30%. So post indexation it will be 31.2. Again, indexation, average indexation for the past 20 years is 6%, so I have taken that. Gold returns, average CAGR returns is 12.77%, so I have taken that. Gold returns post expenses. There are some expenses which are incurred every year, the holding costs. So after subtracting this, the returns are present here for each of the forms. Now let's say the gold rate, current gold rate is 4744 and I have invested 10 grams. So if I buy 10 grams in each of the form, the cost is 47,440 in each of the cases. On top, you will have some additional costs that you incur at purchase. We talked about them, right? The making charges and GST. So including making charges and GST, this is the cost in each of the cases. As you can see, ETF, mutual funds and so on gold bond, there is no change because there are no making charges or GST, whereas in other three there is a change. Now this will be your invested amount on which your profit, tax, everything needs to be calculated. Now let's say if you hold it for 1 year, you can change the year here, 2, 3, so on and so forth. If let's say we hold it for 3 years, then the cost of gold at that point, assuming it grows at the 12.7%, this will be the cost of gold at that point. The exit cost, you also need to pay some exit costs, right? So those are already captured here. The exit costs are present here. You will pay them, and the return on sale is captured here. The profit that you make, this is 67,907, sorry, minus 2,037, 65,000 something, and the profit is calculated. Profit is return on sale minus the invested amount. So you get this profit. Then profit post indexation is also calculated. So if the timeline is less than 3 years, then taxable profit becomes your profit, the row number 29. If it is more than 3 years, 3 or more than 3 years, then it becomes this. So since it is 3 years minus 4,000, same, this line becomes your taxable profit and it is captured here. If I do it 2 year, as you can see, the above row gets captured. Okay, so let's move it back to 3 years. Now taxable profit is present, the tax slab is known because it is 3 years. The tax slab is 20.8%. The tax is captured. Since in the first case there is no profit, actually the tax is 0. Now return post tax is also calculated, and returns including interest is calculated. Right? Interest is added only for sovereign gold bond because other forms don't generate interest. So this is the final return that you get, and if you calculate CAGR, this is the CAGR you get. Similarly, if you change the year, let's say if you put 5, you will get different returns. If you put 7, you will get different returns, so on and so forth. Now I have made a table where I have just captured the returns, the table used for 1 to 8 years for all the forms, which we have seen earlier in the presentation as well. And the final conclusion, as we talked earlier as well, SGB is the best form of investment. If you find the content in this video useful, please like this video and share it with your friends and family. Also, please subscribe to MoneyNook. And don't forget to subscribe to my Telegram channel or Instagram and LinkedIn accounts. The links are provided in the description. Thank you and bye-bye.